All right. Welcome back to Myrna and Jenn read the Apocrypha. I did it right.
Yes, you did. Yay.
I'm so glad we have now come to more of the story I remember in the Bible, where with Isaac and Esau. And I think we're going to hear some of that stuff that I remember from the Bible. Because Abraham has passed away. They laid him in a double tomb with his wife. And now we're moving forward with Isaac and the continuation of that line that God has raised up for his works, so to speak. All right, so we're in Jubilees still. We have made it halfway, but we're still in Jubilees. And we're in chapter 26 now. So let's go ahead and get started, and we'll see how much we have. It's not too long. Depends on how much we have to jabber about. Okay, chapter 26. And in the 7th year of this week, Isaac called Esau, his elder son, and said unto him, I am old, my son, and behold, my eyes are dim in seeing, and I know not the day of my death. And now take thy hunting weapons, thy quiver and thy bow, and go out to the field, and hunt and catch me, my son, and catch me venison, my son, and make me savory meat, such as my soul loveth, and bring it to me that I may eat, and that my soul may bless thee before I die. But Rebekah heard Isaac speaking to Esau.
Uh-oh. And that's where we stop for the day on a cliffhanger.
We're done. Okay, bye. No. In the Bible story, Rebecca doesn't play as big a role as in Jubilees.
Yeah,
I did not realize that she was as meddling about the situation. Because I do remember, what we're probably going to read happened. She's involved in that, but I did not know all this backstory of how much she's involved in this switcheroo. So that's interesting to learn because I'd never caught really onto that. I know.
Right.
So, yeah.
You get the meddling of just even favoring Isaac. Of favoring Jacob in the situation.
Jacob, yeah.
And, in cahoots with Abraham, kind of. And I'm just like, okay. All right, Rebecca, you have a position, you're right, that I didn't fully grasp from the Bible. So this is interesting.
Yeah, I think that, we don't see the women that much in the Bible, but here we're seeing a lot of her being very much involved in what is happening.
Well, we've also seen more when we were doing our first season of doing the life of Adam and Eve. You got a lot about Eve. And so I don't know what to say about that. Like, we're getting to see the women here and in some aspects that play a bigger part in some of this.
Right.
It's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Go ahead. Let's see what happens. Because Rebecca's hearing this. And Esau went forth early to the field to hunt and catch and bring home to his father. And Rebekah called Jacob her son and said unto him, Behold, I heard Isaac thy father speak unto Esau thy brother, saying, Hunt for me and make me savory meat and bring it to me, that I may eat and bless thee before the Lord before I die. And now, my son, obey my voice in that which I command thee. Go to thy flock and fetch me 2 good kids of the goats, and I will make them savory meat for thy father, such as he loves, and thou shalt bring it to thy father, that he may eat and bless thee before the Lord before he die, and that thou mayest be blessed.
Okay. There's a big difference between venison and
Mhm.
goat meat.
I,
This is Isaac, a man who
yeah.
has lived and hunted all of his life. I think he might. I would think he would be able to tell the difference,
You would think, right?
unless she made it so he could taste only the savory part more than the meat.
Okay, so I looked it up for our edification.
Mm-hmm.
Does venison taste different from goat? And this is what the computer tells me. They do taste different. While both are considered game meats, venison tends to have a more pronounced gamey flavor,
Mm-hmm.
while goat's flavor is often described as a blend of lamb and venison without the strong gaminess of venison.
Yeah.
So goat meat is kind of sweeter than venison.
Yeah, the gaminess, I've had game meat,
Yep.
and it is very pronounced. That
Mm.
game part is very pronounced. And I had a real hard time actually finishing the meat that was given to us because I didn't want to waste it. But it took a lot for me to eat it because it's very that gamey flavor is. I don't like it. That's all I'll have to say.
Mm.
It's
So you don't.
noticeable.
So you don't. Do you eat venison? Do you not like it?
I have eaten it.
Uh-huh.
It's not my favorite. No.
Interesting. I love venison.
So
So
yeah.
I've had venison. I had a friend who the family tradition was that they would go hunting on a men's hunting trip. And so they'd bring home and they'd have it processed and made into jerky and other things. And some of the best jerky I've ever had. I had venison burgers. I really like it. So maybe there's something about that gaminess. I've also had goat though. And that to me it's the textures are different. So
Yeah. Yeah.
interesting
Yeah.
that maybe he's old and his taste buds are not what they should be.
Maybe so.
I
It
don't know.
absolutely could be. I mean, because even though
Because
he can't see, I would think he would taste it
you would
because I
think,
certainly can. I certainly can tell the difference.
well, and you would think he would taste his wife's cooking
Mm-hmm.
in this. Like, I'll prepare it for you. Oh,
Mm.
so there's some interesting things here. Obviously, some shenanigans afoot.
Well, yeah. Sounds like
Mhm.
there's a lot of shenanigans that were afoot in the Isaac
Mhm.
household.
Yes.
All right. Okay,
So,
let's find out. And Jacob said to Rebekah, his mother, Mother, I shall not withhold anything which my father would eat and which would please him. Only I fear, my mother, that he will recognize my voice and wish to touch me. And thou knowest that I am smooth, and Esau, my brother, is hairy. And I shall appear before his eyes as an evildoer, and shall do a deed which he had not commanded me. And he will be wroth with me, and I shall bring upon myself a curse, and not a blessing. And Rebekah his mother said unto him, Upon me be thy curse, my son, only obey my voice.
all right, she's taking responsibility.
Mm-mm-mm.
If a curse comes upon her son, the curse, she's like, it's actually on me because you're obeying my voice. You're honoring thy mother. Well,
Yeah,
Jacob didn't fully say, I'm not doing this. He just is worried about the
yeah,
consequences, which he should be. But it's two places here where she says, obey my voice. Obey my voice. Do what I've said. Maybe she's seen this as the moment of how Jacob gets this because Esau already like sold him the birthright for some stew.
yeah. So why? Okay, so here, okay, now I never even thought about this. Does Isaac not know about that?
Maybe not.
So then why are they worried? All they have to do is tell.
I don't know. That's why this story always has confused me. I will let you know. This story has always confused me that there's a level of deceit here, even though God has pretty much said it's going to come through you, Isaac. And Abraham was all about it being Jacob, but only Rebekah seemed to fully know that. Isaac has his heart set on Esau, but Esau isn't a man of God like Jacob is a man of God. So I don't see why Isaac isn't seeing that. Like, this is
Yeah.
a lot of parent stuff happening.
Yeah, it's like it makes me wonder a little bit about Isaac. Yes, he's a leader. Yes,
Mhm.
he's probably considered the prophet at the time, like his father was.
Yep.
But it almost doesn't seem like he believes it. Because if he believed it, would he not want to pick the one that would be the better for the job, like Jacob, rather than Esau? But maybe
we
he
know.
just has a really good relationship with Esau, and so he sees part of him that other people don't see. I don't know.
Well, we know that he favored Esau.
Well, yeah,
He
I know
likes
that.
manly kind of guy, and so maybe he's overlooking some of the, I don't know, he married Canaanite women, he's had a couple of wives, he's done these things that God has said not to do.
Yeah.
And but it's like he's blinded. It almost seems like Isaac is blinded to the flaws of Esau. He wants it so bad.
Well, I don't know if it's that or if it's simply he's trusting because this is history. This is
Right.
tradition,
Right.
right? That the oldest takes over,
Right.
right? And so he's probably just thinking, okay, this is tradition. I'm trusting God that Esau will do what he's supposed to because this is the way it's supposed to go, right? This is the way
Right.
it's always been. I think this is a great example to us about how sometimes we don't do it the way it always has been done.
Correct.
That God doesn't do things simply because that's the way he's always done it.
Correct. There is a part to look at history and the way things have been done, but there are moments when he goes completely a different direction where God does that, and that's the way life can be.
Yeah.
So I find it interesting here.
Yeah. Okay. All right, let's find out what goes on.
Let's see what happens in 10. And Jacob obeyed the voice of Rebekah, his mother, and went and fetched 2 good and fat kids of the goats, and brought them to his mother, and his mother made them savory meat, such as he loved. And Rebekah took the goodly raiment of Esau, her elder son, which was with her in the house, and she clothed Jacob, her younger son, with them. And she put the skins of the kids upon his hands and on the exposed parts of his neck. And she gave the meat and the bread which she had prepared into the hand of her son Jacob. All right, I'm going to say that's a little gross. Because it's not like they were tanned hides or anything. It was, I just killed these goats. I just made the meal. I've scraped off the stuff, but now I'm going to put it around you so that it seems like you're hairy. I'm just going to say that's taking it to a new level.
Well, actually, it says that she took the raiment of Esau, her elder son, which was with her in the house, and she clothed Jacob, her younger son.
But she put the skins of the kids upon his hands and on the exposed part of his neck.
That could have been Esau's gloves and stuff that was already tanned.
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't think they would do it that quickly because it's too much of a mess. It wouldn't really, it's not like he wouldn't figure that one out.
That's why this story has always confused me. Some part of it, like his sight must have like he had cataracts. His vision was so dim at that point. But
well, it would still smell. That's the problem.
It would still smell. I know, which is why.
So I think something's missing. I think there's some some
I'll let
parts.
you have.
are
I'll let
missing.
you have that one. Maybe something.
That's just me. That's just me. I
Uh-huh.
could be wrong.
Okay. But
But
they are taking it to a level of deception.
yeah, this is not like manslaughter. It's premeditated manslaughter type thing, right?
Yes,
There's a premeditation involved here. It's not just, oh, I'm cold. I'll put this on while I take this to dad.
correct.
Right? Like this, we planned it. You need to.
Okay, we need to trick dad. We're tricking dad into thinking that it's Esau. So I'm going to take his nice coat that dad knows and I'm going to put stuff on you to make it seem like it's you're hairy. I would think you would tell the difference between a hairy arm and goat skin. I'll just say that.
I would think so.
But apparently it's working for them.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you got your sin of omission and sin of commission. So I think this is the commission here.
Yeah, I think it's the commission. You're correct.
Yeah. Hmm. All right.
We'll continue this interesting story.
All right, 13. And Jacob went into his father and said, I am thy son. I have done according as thou badest me. Arise and sit and eat of that which I have caught, father, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac said to his son, how hast thou found so quickly, my son? And Jacob said, because the Lord thy God caused me to find.
Oh.
So now they're implementing God in the whole thing. They're bringing God into the problem.
I'm going to say I don't remember that part in the scriptures and
I don't remember that, but I remember he questioned something about it, but I didn't know that that's
yeah, because I gotta look that one up, man. I gotta look that one up in the Old Testament because hilarious here. Okay, Esau. I'm looking for the right section here. Blessed. Esau covenant to. I'm looking for where whatchamacallit dies because I'm pretty sure. Nope. Wow. Do they kind of okay, so here it is. Genesis chapter 27. And the savory meat were like in verse 16, the skin of the kids upon his hands. Here in this account, this is how somewhat of the conversation. And he came unto his father and said, my father. And he said, here am I. Who art thou, my son? And Jacob said, I am Esau, thy firstborn. Yes. And Isaac, in verse 20, and Isaac said unto his son, how is it that thou hast found it so quickly, my son? And he said, because the Lord thy God brought it to me. I did not remember that. Oh my gosh. That to me is like, that's like, okay, it's one thing to be lying and involving like your mom and stuff, but, or you're a part of it, but being on your feet in the moment going, good question. The Lord brought it to me. How bad must you be feeling in this moment? I would think there'd be a sense of guilt happening here. Like you just put the Lord in a lie. Wow. Wow. Jacob's taking this a bit far.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Jacob. The Lord caused me to find. Okay. And let's continue our story here.
Yep.
And in verse 16, and Isaac said unto him, come near that I may feel thee, my son, if thou art my son Esau or not. So there's a sense of doubt. And
Mhm.
Jacob went near to Isaac his father, and he felt him and said, "The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are hands of Esau." And he discerned him not, because it was a dispensation from heaven to remove his power of perception. And Isaac discerned not, for his hands were hairy as his brother Esau's, so that he blessed him. So it says here it was a dispensation from heaven to remove his power of perception.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Hmm. So is someone saying God was involved?
That's the way it's suggested there, that it was meant to happen that way.
It's still deceitful. Sorry.
It's still deceitful.
Because he flat out asks him the question,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And he says, I'm
You sound
your
like
son.
Jacob, but your hands are hairy like Esau's. No, it's me, Dad. It's Esau. It's me.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So in the Bible, it does not suggest that it was because of heaven's desire that it be Jacob. In Genesis, it just says that he discerned him not because his hands were hairy. Interesting. They threw in heaven there.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah. Hmm. Hmm.
I don't know what to make of that. I'll be
I don't
honest.
either.
I don't know what to make of this part of this story.
I guess maybe it might be. I mean, the Lord has always said it was going to go this way, so maybe
Yeah.
He did take his perception away so that he
Could
would,
it
be able to believe and do the priesthood blessing necessary.
it just seems such an interesting roundabout way of going about this.
Mhm.
Isaac, it needs to be Jacob. But
Mm.
maybe there's a flaw here in him, that he just wanted it to be Esau, that he saw it as his eldest son, and that he
Okay. Maybe we're thinking Isaac is more obedient than we think.
maybe
Maybe because he's just a man, right? He's not
he is
perfect.
correct.
Even if he is a prophet, although they've never really called him a prophet, but even if he is considered a prophet, he's just a man,
Yes.
right? And so he could just simply want Esau to do it. He could just simply think, that's the way I'm going to do it.
Because we've never had an instance where we've read so far that God has told Isaac it's Jacob.
Mm-mm.
Abraham went around that. Maybe that feeling of his connection to Esau was so great that Abraham realized he is not going to be convinced that it should be Jacob. Rebecca can see that it needs to be Jacob,
Yeah.
but Isaac is blinded to this.
Mm-hmm. So there's something there.
There is, because this is one of the unusual stories.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, let's
Let's
continue
keep
in
going.
this one.
19. And he said, Art thou my son Esau? And he said, I am thy son. And he said, okay, so I lied.
Mm-hmm.
I lied. All he said is, I am thy son. He did not say, I am Esau.
Correct. You're right. He's skirting lines.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, Bring near to me that I may eat of that which thou hast caught, my son, that my soul may bless thee. And he brought near to him, and he did eat. And he brought him wine, and he drank. And Isaac his father said unto him, Come near and kiss me, my son. Okay, so he hasn't really lied. I apologize. I was thinking he had, but he has not, actually.
It's skirt. You're right. The way he's answering very specifically.
Yeah.
I am thy son.
He's being a politician.
Yeah, he's being a politician here. I am thy son.
Mm-hmm.
But he knew what the question was.
Yes.
He knew what his father was asking him, and he specifically skirted it in an honest way, but not at the same time.
All right.
Okay, let's continue because this is getting juicy.
Yeah.
And he came near and kissed him, and he smelled the smell of his raiment. And he blessed him and said, Behold, the smell of my son is as the smell of a full field, which the Lord hath blessed. And may the Lord give thee of the dew of heaven, and of the dew of the earth, and plenty of corn and oil. Let nations serve thee, and peoples bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. And may all the blessings wherewith the Lord hath blessed me and blessed Abraham my father be imparted to thee and to thy seed forever. Cursed be he that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee.
Okay, that statement in 24,
Uh-huh.
be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee.
Yes.
That's an interesting statement.
Mm-hmm.
Is Isaac saying that they are considering both, and maybe he has more than just two wives, his mothers? They are raising them as if they're both his mothers, like raising them a one big family.
I don't know, because mother's sons. So maybe, so you're talking like not them. Who's the next generation? Because how many, Isaac just had Rebecca as his wife, right?
No, he had Leah, right?
I'm just looking that up right now.
I think we actually had this discussion before, and maybe I think I was wrong. It's Jacob, I think, that has the two wives. I think it's Jacob.
Yes, it is just Rebecca. It's Jacob who ends up having Rachel and Leah.
Rachel, that's right. Yeah, we had that discussion before, and I was wrong before.
So
I just really want Leah to come into the story, I guess. Come on, man. I don't know. I don't know what my problem is.
So the thing here, though, is that Isaac has Rebecca. So why is it thy mother's sons? That doesn't make sense, because I thought we talk about Jacob and Esau. Were there more boys?
Oh, I'm sure there were more boys, and I'm sure there were more women, daughters. We have nothing that says that were the only children they had.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, so it is only one wife that the Bible says he had. And then how many? And Rebecca have. So interesting. Oh, well, okay. It's in, okay, remember this though, Myrna. Remember this. When we were talking about the whole problem with the one group where we did a special episode. And we learned a lot about how they talk about these things. And could it be him saying thy mother's sons? Could that just mean even his grandchildren or something? Like all of the boys, because it's only recorded that they had and Jacob and Esau were twins.
Yeah, it says that there was the only one. It says here that Rebecca had problems. I don't remember this part. Had problems having kids, and he gave her a blessing, and she had twins, Jacob and Esau, and it doesn't sound like she had any more.
So maybe that's what he's saying. He's doing a lineage, like further down the road, like thy mother's sons, as in nations, right? Like your grandchildren will further the generations.
Yeah, maybe.
Some of their language is interesting when they talk about generations.
Or maybe it's them using that apostrophe differently than we do.
Maybe.
Right? Maybe there's a history of that being used a little bit different. But you're right. I think maybe it has to be something with the effect of multiple
Generations.
generations.
Because they sometimes say father, but what they mean is fathers, right? Like our father. That could be a lot. They just do so many different things like that.
Well, yeah, because they said Abraham laid with his fathers.
Yes.
Which meant, his people.
His and
right.
So maybe mother's
thing.
sons is forward.
Yeah.
Because that brings that idea of nations and generations together in this blessing. But the thing that I don't think really have talked about is the fact that Esau and Jacob are twins. And apparently Esau was just born first.
Mm-hmm.
So technically they have, if they were, they're not fully identical because one got hairy and one's smooth.
Yeah, they're not identical. They didn't come from the same egg.
No, doesn't sound that way. So it's just interesting that they're twins.
There's I don't know if I'm thinking of the wrong part in the Bible, but something, there was like kids, like twins, and one grabbed the other one's foot and pulled them back and came out first. Am I crazy? Because I swear I remember something like that.
You are correct in that.
Who was it?
I'm looking. It was in Genesis 38, chapter 38.
Okay.
I will look here. The description of the chapter in the King James Version of the Bible: Judah has 3 sons by a Canaanite woman. And Onan are slain by the Lord. Tamar, disguised as a harlot, bears twins by Judah. And I believe it's one of them. The twins. Actually, that happened, and it was like, oh no, it was that the one was starting to come out, and then the other one got pushed back in or something and came out. So you're correct. That does happen to a set of twins.
Well, yeah, it says that the one grabbed his foot and pulled him, and they went out first instead.
Because if anyone's ever had a child in the birth canal, I'm gonna say that's a crazy story.
Oh yeah, that is
one child in the birth canal pulled back out of the canal, and then the other kid goes out. Yeah, that's a crazy story.
That's crazy.
Too. You're correct. That is one of the other twin stories out there.
Okay. I was wondering, the only reason I brought that up, and I guess I should explain to everybody, what I was wondering was that these guys, that maybe Jacob should have it because he should have come out first.
Right.
But Esau changed the order.
Right.
So, because I remember the story, so I was wondering, did we miss that? Right. Was it not in here?
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of the story, but it's not. So
it's a different set. But that was a good thought, because I bet other people out there who are reading along with us are also going, hey, maybe I heard that story too. So thank you for bringing that up, because that would be the perfect birth story for this situation. That actually would make sense to me.
It would, me too. I would think, okay, well, they're not really being deceiving. They're just making what should have happened to happen.
Right.
That Esau changed.
Yep.
And so that's why it kind of just came to me. I was like, oh, wasn't there a story, and did they not bring it? Did the Watchers or whoever wrote this not put it in here?
Yeah.
But okay.
Right? Nope.
So no. Okay.
Nope.
See,
they are just
all kinds of things Myrna's wrong about. About a lot of things.
I'd forgotten that story. So way to go, Myrna. Remember, guys, we are not biblical scholars. I do not remember
Uh,
every single story in the Old Testament. I have read the Old Testament before, cover to cover. These stories, though, there's a lot of them. And apparently Myrna really wants to hear about Jacob and his wiving.
well,
And so
because my seminary teacher, I think he
hard.
seared it into my brain.
Okay.
And
Good.
I'll tell you about that when we get to it as to what
Okay.
he did and why it seared into my brain. But anyway,
Okay, awesome. So
all right.
we still have the deceit right here, and it's about to get interesting.
Yeah.
25.
Mm-hmm.
And
it came to,
oh yeah, is this you? Yes, it is. Sorry.
but I thought it was.
Yeah, go ahead.
Am I wrong? Because I've
Nope,
been
I don't
wrong
know.
I've been wrong a couple of times. I'm ready to be
Myrna,
wrong.
I will let you be right here. Go.
Okay, 25. And it came to pass, as soon as Isaac had made an end of blessing his son Jacob, and Jacob had gone forth from Isaac his father, he hid himself, and Esau his brother came in from his hunting. And he also made savory meat, and brought it to his father, and said unto his father, Let my father arise and eat my venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac his father said unto him, Who art thou? And he said unto him, I am thy firstborn, thy son Esau. I have done as thou hast commanded me.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
The shiz has hit the fan.
It has. And not only that, but do you see what has happened here? Esau has done as his dad commanded him, and Jacob has done as his mom commanded him. Oh, we have a divided house.
Okay, I just have to say this. That kind of puts God. Okay, don't I love God, but I can't. I have to say this.
Say it.
It makes him a little contradictory of himself, contradicting himself, because isn't that why he told Adam he was getting kicked out, was because he didn't obey him, but he obeyed his wife?
Okay, Myrna,
right?
You are bringing up a very good point that no one has ever brought up before. To me, anyways, nobody has ever said, does this story contradict the Adam and Eve story? Your wife did this, you did it, you got to leave the garden because your wife started this. And now we're like, your wife is starting this and you're dead and we're going with mom.
Yeah.
This is literally one of those moments a couple of thoughts come to mind. One, these scriptures accounts are not fully accurate. But this story appears. So that I don't ever like saying this fully, but my ways are not thy ways, O Lord. But this is one of those conundrums of, yeah, I don't know what to say about that one.
Yeah, well, it's also a little bit of, yes, this is not necessarily canonized, but we also know that what we have canonized is not correct either.
It might not be.
So kind of putting both of them together might be what's given us our whole story, right? When you take our Bible and then take the Apocrypha and mold it together, that might actually be giving us more of the whole story. Not maybe the whole story, but more of the whole story, because we know they took things out of the Bible. We know and these are some of the things they took out. And we know that, they did it for a purpose and for a reason, because they wanted the religion to be more of a masculine religion rather than a feminine one. And so they took a lot of stuff out where the women were involved and other things, not just the women's stuff. But so neither one of them can we say, oh, we have to listen to this one or we have to listen to that one, because as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We only believe that the Bible is correct as long as it is translated correctly.
Correct.
Right? So neither one of these can be held up and said this is the correct story, because I think that we don't have the whole story. As what's his name would say, the rest of the story.
Yes. Interesting. It is true. That is our religious belief, that the Bible is as there's truth there as long as the Bible's translated correctly.
All right.
Wow. All right. Let's continue this.
Let's see what Isaac decides to do.
Let's see what he does. In 28. And Isaac was very greatly astonished and said, "Who is he that hath hunted and caught and brought it to me? And I have eaten of all before thou camest, and have blessed him, and he shall be blessed and all his seed forever." And it came to pass that when Esau heard the words of his father Isaac, that he cried with an exceedingly great and bitter cry, and said unto his father, "Bless me, even me also, father." And he said unto him, "Thy brother came with guile, and hath taken away thy blessing." And he said, "Now I know why his name is named Jacob. Behold, he hath supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and now he hath taken away my blessing." So there are 2 separate things.
Mm-hmm.
The birthright.
That explains that question we had.
That. Yep. So.
Okay. I can't avoid saying this.
Mm-hmm.
He is normal as people are nowadays, because when they have lost something or something has been taken away from them, they blame the person that it has happened from, or who did it, or who received it, but they can't see their own part in the situation. Because right here he says, "He took away my birthright." No, he didn't. You sold it to him. Okay. Now he is correct. Now he hath taken away my blessing. I would say yes, that would be correct, Esau. But he didn't take away your birthright. You gave that away.
Okay.
But we hear that all the time now. You know, when people don't want to take responsibility for their own actions, and they'll blame somebody else or something else, or, you know, I think that's like a human trait, that we try to blame somebody else so that we don't have to be responsible. But that's possibly why God makes or allows us to have our agency, because then we can't really blame anybody else.
Very true.
I can see you thinking and reading.
I am, and listening to what you're saying, because I guess in the Bible, I've never fully considered the birthright and blessings to be 2 separate things. And so it's just like boggling my mind. What is the difference of those? And one, it's like there's a physical part of it. The birthright is you get the property, authority, and these things. But the blessing is like a priesthood blessing. But in this instance, that blessing Isaac could give tells like things that you will have. I'm blessing you with like the power of God to have these things happen, to have this path happen, that you will have generations, that you will have nations bow down to you, that these things will happen, which is prophetic.
Yeah.
So the birthright part of it and the blessing part of it, we know that Esau sold the birthright.
Yeah.
But now it's like Jacob is getting the blessing portion to go with that birthright.
Yeah.
Which
I think
Isaac was wanting to put on to Esau. Does Isaac even know that Esau sold the birthright? That part we don't know.
We don't know for sure about that. But I think I think there's a separation because of tradition of the fathers. The tradition of the fathers at this time is that the oldest child
Yep. The
gets
oldest
everything.
son. The
Oldest son gets everything.
Mhm.
They get the birthright, regardless.
Yes.
And so I think the Lord has added a priesthood blessing in order to make it a spiritual or religious
Mhm.
covenant blessing.
Mhm.
So he is acknowledging the difference himself by adding that on.
Right. Interesting. I literally had never thought through the fact that they were separate. Okay.
Okay, hang on one thing. I want to
Mhm.
look up one thing else. Um, okay,
Mhm.
I was looking at where he said, "Now I know why his name is named Jacob."
Okay, what does Jacob mean?
So I put in, what does Jacob mean in Hebrew?
Mhm.
It has several potential meanings. It can be translated as supplanter,
Uh-huh.
hill catcher, which is probably that story of the other twins,
Mhm.
and one who seizes by the heel, or may God protect.
Okay. So a supplanter, that's why he's called it, because he did it twice.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I thought of that story too. This hill
Right.
catcher.
Mhm.
That's interesting. It's interesting. Okay.
So now
Uh,
Isaac seems to be in this moment where he has to decide, what do I do with Esau now? I just gave the blessing over to Jacob. And the question that comes to me is, so why not be like, oh, I didn't mean that. Here, this is the blessing I want for you. It's almost as if that is the prophetic blessing I gave him, and I cannot change that.
yeah, yeah. It's like
So
it's
now
cemented.
it's cemented, and now, because I believe it's tied in with God's promises.
Yeah.
So now God is bound with that.
Mm-hmm.
And now he has to decide, what blessing do I
If
turn
any,
do I, if
if
any,
any, if any.
that I do for Esau. So that must
Yeah.
have been a hard moment for him,
For both.
for both of them, as father and
Obviously,
son.
Esau's a little upset,
Myth. Yep. Mm-hmm.
but he needs he will eventually remember. I think that he gave away his birthright.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, all right. Anything else to say about that?
Nope.
Okay, let's go on.
Okay.
And he said, "Hast thou not reserved a blessing for me, father?" And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, "Behold, I have made him thy lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants. And with plenty of corn and wine and oil have I strengthened him. And what now shall I do for thee, my son?" And Esau said to Isaac his father, "Hast thou but one blessing, O father? Bless me, even me also, father." And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac answered and said unto him, "Behold, far from the dew of the earth shall be thy dwelling, and far from the dew of heaven from above." Okay, that's like a curse, not a blessing.
Yeah. Yeah, that one. It's like sitting there going, son, I've made thy brother thy lord. He gets the servants. He's going to have the wealth and the plenty. And
Mhm.
now, what is there left?
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
So We have a couple more verses and we get to
it-
hear
I
what the
think it,
rest of this is.
yeah, I kind of think it was a moment of, oh my heck, from both of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Isaac's like, I don't know, I can't do anything. I don't know what else to do. And Esau's like, well, what the heck? What about me?
Right.
Right? It was kind of that moment for both of them. What the heck? Where do we go from here? What do we do? How do we fix this? How do we mend this? Right?
Well, yeah, like what's the best outcome here? Because now he won't have the prosperity and the plenty.
Mm-hmm.
So what is he left with? What else can he bless his son with? And this is the next couple of verses are what he blesses him with. So I'll just repeat the last part of what he has to say here. Behold, far from the dew of the earth shall that be thy dwelling, and far from the dew of heaven from above. And by the sword wilt thou live, and thou wilt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass when thou becomest great, and dost shake his yoke from off thy neck, thou shalt sin a complete sin unto death, and thy seed shall be rooted out from under heaven. And Esau kept threatening Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And he said in his heart, may the days of mourning for my father now come, so that I may slay my brother Jacob.
Ooh, that's a threat.
Yeah, it was in his heart. He didn't say it, which is a dangerous place to have that sit.
Because it can continue to grow.
It can grow and it can go nasty.
What do you think it means by thou shalt sin a complete sin unto death, and thy seed shall be rooted out from under heaven?
Yeah, I was just gonna look up what that might mean.
Ooh, does that mean you will kill somebody? Sin a complete unto death?
So it says refers to the concept of a sin so grave that it leads to death, whether physical or spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
So not everyone agrees on fully what it means. Some interpret it as a sin so severe that God's disciplinary action leads to physical death. Others as a sin that cannot be forgiven, leading to eternal condemnation. And some see it as a complete rejection of faith, resulting in separation from God.
Wow, good.
So different levels there.
Well, I'm thinking of 35, where it says, may the days of mourning for my father now come, so that I may slay my brother Jacob. It's like, he's not only mad at Jacob, he's mad at dad.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't really care if dad lives anymore.
Yeah.
Let's get this over with. You die, dad, and then I can do whatever I want, because I won't be here to see your disappointment.
Yes, that is how that feels.
You won't be here for me to see your disappointment when I slay my brother.
Yeah, that's pretty much how that feels right there.
Mm-hmm.
That it's so grave that he doesn't care. He is just going to slay his brother, and what, by slaying him, take back the birthright? Is that what he's thinking?
Yeah, it's kind of like, have you ever heard someone say, I'm going to do this until my parents die, and then I'll do this?
Yes.
And it's like that same thing. It's like, well, if you're going to do it, just do it. Why do you have to wait? Right?
It feels like him saying, Dad, would you die already? Because I'm about to kill my brother, and I don't want you to see it. I don't want you to live through the heartache of me doing it, but I'm going to do it. So here we go.
Yeah.
That's a bit of anger in your heart.
Okay. That one, I don't remember that part, that he was so mad that he wanted to slay his brother. But I'm sure it's probably there, and I just missed it, because I'm realizing I missed a lot.
Yeah.
I need to go back to my Bible and do some more soul searching, because I missed a lot of stuff. But I do remember some of it, obviously.
And And by the way, it is quoted in Genesis 27, verse 41. The days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob.
Okay. All right. Well, there we go. There's our cliffhanger. Tomorrow, next time, we will be on 27 and we will see what happens. So thank you for being here with us. And
Yes.
until next time, please continue to remember that Apocryphal
Apocryphal
rules.
rules.
All right. Well, we
Bye-bye.
appreciate you going on this journey with us. We will see you again. Bye.